Please welcome to the stage Maggie Staszcuk, Program Manager and podcast host for Associated Skincare Professionals, to the stage for the makeup application presentation of Reducing Risk with Us.
All right. So I hear you are a lash artist. Are you an esthetician or a cosmetologist? Cosmetologist. Okay. Have you heard of ASCP, Associated Skincare Professionals? Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Often I hear that the audience has not. Anyway, we're talking to you today about reducing your risk. My name is Maggie Staszcuk. I am also a licensed esthetician since 2006. And the things that we are going to discuss are real-life stories, injuries to clients that have come from our claim files, 3 types of liability insurance, why you need liability insurance, and how to protect yourself, the steps you need to go through if an incident happens in your treatment room. So first, what is liability insurance? When you hear that word, what comes to mind? That's okay, you don't have to know. You don't have to know. So liability insurance is the policy that protects you in case an incident does occur. And there's 3 types of coverage you should have as a cosmetologist doing lashes or any other service you choose to add to your treatment menu. So do professionals really injure clients? What would you say? Yeah, absolutely. Accidents happen, clients do sue. It's not intentional, it's not malicious, but certainly it happens. So a lot of times professionals that I talk to say, my clients are my friends, my family, they would never sue me. But if that friend or family member gets injured during a treatment and they're racking up $20,000 in medical bills, are they gonna pay that themselves? No, they're gonna come after you and want you to pay them. So then it becomes you versus your friend. What do you think is the riskiest treatment? Waxing! Angie in the back, yes. Waxing is our riskiest treatment. Have either of you ever had what we say is a waxident? You're doing lashes, so maybe not. But if you think back to aesthetics or cosmetology school, either in school or when you first got out and were new to the industry, did you ever have a little accident or little thing gone wrong that you thought, oh gosh, I didn't mean to do that to my client? Did that ever happen to you? It certainly happened to me. I remember when I first got out of school and I'm in the treatment room, I was young 20s and I thought, I ruled the world, I'm done with school, I know what I'm doing. My client comes in, first client of the morning. My wax wasn't quite ready. You know, you've got the hard wax, you've got the soft wax. This client wanted her brows done. So I thought, I've got the soft wax ready, no problem. I'm gonna smear that puppy on, smooth my strip and with the strip, and I look at my client and I go, wow, that brow is thin. I had taken the whole sucker right off her face. And she says, oh my God, let me see a mirror. She looks in the mirror, and I didn't handle it well. What did I say to her? I said, do you want me to make the other brow match? She hopped off the bed. She went, she paid, she didn't even complain. And of course, I never saw her again. But that client could have sued me. Fortunately, knock on wood, she did not. And that's just a minor wax claim. But they can be major too. Here's a chart that's showing % of total claims. So hair removal, chemical peels, waxing, these are the top services that we're getting claims for across our desk. So we said, what is liability insurance? And there are 3 types that you need to have, starting with professional liability. This is coverage for the services that you're performing. So for instance, as a lash artist, if you have an accident go wrong in performing your lashing services, professional liability is going to cover you for that. Product liability is coverage for products you have applied during treatment or product sold for home use or retail. So example of this could be that your client has a reaction, maybe to the lashing glue, or if you're selling retail and they are overusing their retinol or overusing that glycolic shampoo and they develop a reaction, product liability is going to protect you. And then general liability. This is going to be slip, trip, and fall. Maybe there is icy walkway out front, or maybe they are coming into the treatment room, slip and fall. General liability. General liability also protects against damage to client's property. So a couple stories about this one here. I had a friend, also an esthetician, who had a client come in for, again, waxing, and set her Gucci bag down next to the treatment bed. Starts her waxing service, scoops the stick, and wax drips from the stick all over the designer bag, ruins the bag. Unfortunately, she did not have insurance, but you better believe that client wanted a new Gucci bag. So she had to pay to replace it and found herself now an owner of a Gucci bag covered in wax. So having insurance, having general liability is going to protect you from those types of accidents. This is the most expensive claim our association has ever had. It is a chemical peel story. We had a member of ours, an esthetician, have a new client come in. They had a nice little consultation, and the client explains that she has very sensitive skin. She had been to a dermatologist, and she was experiencing redness, flaking, a little bit of swelling. She was diagnosed with rosacea. She explained that to the esthetician. The esthetician determined best course of treatment is a chemical peel. They agree. There's no consent form done, no paperwork, no signature. And as they're performing the service, the esthetician is noting that the client's reacting normally. She's getting red, she's having a little bit of pain, and this is to be expected. But the client tells the esthetician, wow, I'm burning, I'm in pain, let's take this thing off. They finish up the service, take off the peel, the esthetician puts on a calming product, client leaves. The client the next day calls the esthetician and says, man, I gotta tell you, I am burning, I am red, this doesn't feel good. So they have a little discussion, and the esthetician over the course of the next couple weeks stays in touch with the client, just checking in, how's the skin doing, still feeling red? About a year after this occurred, the esthetician receives a letter from an attorney that says, we're suing you. You were negligent, you burned and damaged my client, their skin. And in fact, this client had to go to the hospital and was treated for burns on their face and into their décolleté. Wow, I mean, can you imagine if that were you and you received this letter? That's like gut-wrenching. What do you do? This demand escalated when the client states that the chemical makeup of her skin changed because of the chemical peel, and she's now experiencing regular flare-ups in her skin, burning, redness, flaking, irritation. They go to mediation, it's unsuccessful, and over the course of 5 years, eventually end up in trial. The jury rules in favor of the client, and she's awarded a large sum of money. What do you anticipate that payout to the client was? Any guesses? $1.2 million. As an esthetician, regardless of the services that you're performing, if you were to receive a letter like this from an attorney, imagine how that would feel. And certainly, do you have $1.2 million? No. Having a policy that's covering professional liability protects you from incidents like these. So there's a lot of lessons that can be learned from this scenario. This is just a couple of them, but what comes to mind when you hear this story? What did perhaps the esthetician do wrong?
I always start with consent forms.
Yeah, 100%. Do a consent form. What else would you say? Do you think a chemical peel was a good choice for someone who's saying they're so sensitive and rosacea? Yeah, probably not a good choice. Certainly do a patch test if you're going to do a chemical peel. So performing appropriate treatments, doing the patch test, doing the paperwork. If there is an incident, this is your list of top 10 ways to reduce your risk, and highlighting just a couple of them is similar to the slide we just looked at, which is be sure you have updated paperwork, you have signatures from your clients, you have discussed before moving forward, and you guys are on the same page. Be sure you're keeping those accurate records, and when in doubt, refer out. So if your client is asking you to do a service that, one, you're not trained for, or two, you're not comfortable with, or three, is outside your scope of practice, don't do it, refer out. So what do you do if an accident occurs? Sometimes things just don't go right. It's out of your control, and an incident does happen. Assess the extent of the injuries and damages. Take photos, never admit fault or liability. Even saying I'm sorry is an admission of guilt, so try to avoid doing that and write down the facts. Do an incident or report. So such and such happened, it occurred on this date, document it. And then contact your insurer, and that should maybe even be your first step. So if you're a member of ASCP, you reach out to us, and we're going to take you through these steps here and walk you through the process for filing a claim and what to do next with your insurance company. So there are two types of coverage, individual coverage and shared coverage. Individual coverage is coverage that is yours and yours alone. $1 million policy is $1 million for you, aggregate for the year. If you have shared coverage, there are some companies that are able to knock down the cost because that aggregate, the $1 million policy, is shared amongst everyone else that has bought in to the shared policy. So I just told you about this $1 million claim. If you happen to have a claim filed at the end of the year, it's possible that that insurance company will say, I'm sorry, we can't cover you, claim denied, we've run out of money, because they've already paid out millions of dollars to other claims earlier in the year, and you're out of luck. So it's always in your best interest to get an individual coverage policy. There's also claims made versus occurrence form. Occurrence form means that you have coverage during the life of your policy, even if that claim is filed after your policy has expired, just as long as the incident occurred while your policy was in force. Claims made doesn't operate that way. If your policy has expired or lapsed and you go to file a claim, it may be denied and there may be no coverage. So ASCP, Associated Skincare Professionals, that is who we are. We're representing estheticians across the nation and, of course, providing insurance to you for the 3 types of liability that we've talked about, but we also provide business resources, education, community support, everything to help you build your business in the industry. So as far as insurance is concerned, our policy is $6 million aggregate. That is an individual policy for you for the year. It's $2 million per occurrence. So if there is a claim you have to file, you get coverage up to $2 million for that individual claim. And it's covering the 3 types of liability that we've just talked about: professional, general, and product liability. And it covers you no matter where you're working, no matter how many settings, as long as you're operating within your state scope of practice. We have a lot of resources to help connect you as well. ASCP Pocket Suite, if you guys are not familiar, similar to something like Vagaro. It's an app you can download to your phone, and it's providing online scheduling. You can have all of your intake forms also attached to Pocket Suite, credit card payment processing, as well as point of sale charging, payment reminders, and a bunch of other resources. ASCP Skin Pro app is our app that is providing information on contraindications and ingredients for your treatment room decisions. So you can simply look up any type of condition and get information about that condition, images, as well as looking up any ingredient and finding out if there are contraindications for use with that ingredient and how to move forward with use of that ingredient. We also have a lot of industry events. SD of the Year, Reader's Choice, and our virtual summit are just two examples. SD of the Year we just announced at our Reader's Choice event, which was held last week at IECSC. With Reader's Choice, you guys have the opportunity to vote in on your favorite products, attend our award show, and then they're also announced in our Skin Deep magazine. And then our virtual summit, our next one is coming up in October. This is a full day of virtual education. You'll receive continuing education certificates and be able to interact live with the educators. And these are top names in the industry from brand manufacturers that you guys are seeing at the trade shows and even here today at the Phoenix Suites event. We have social media memes available to you guys, have a presence online, and a website builder, which we have updates coming to this soon, but this gives you an opportunity for free to have a fully hosted website online. And then education is a big deal for us as well. So I mentioned our virtual summit. That's one way that you guys can be educated through ASCP. Our award-winning Skin Deep magazine, ASCP SD Talk podcast. This is hosted anywhere that you guys can get your podcasts, comes out once a week. And then our on-demand video library, we have over 300 videos in our library, and every year we are adding to this. When you guys access a video, you also get a certificate of completion with each video. And so really, ASCP is all about you. What we're doing is providing resources to help boost you in the industry, build your career, and be the best esthetician you can be. Is there any questions I can answer as far as insurance or resources that ASCP offers?
I noticed in California, high frequency is included in that.
High frequency is covered if we're talking about direct high frequency, so long as you are able to perform this in California. We do have an additional endorsement that you can add if you're using high frequency for a body slimming treatment. Any other questions? No? All right, thank you so much for being here and allowing me to speak with you about ASCP. If you want any more information, you can go to our website. You can also contact our 1-800 number. We have an entire team of membership coordinators that are there to assist you.